first matchup against the Chicago Bears this season.
It was almost instant karma for the guys, right? Last time these two teams met, Detroit Lions had a lead most of the game, turned the ball over late, allowed Chicago to go score and win the game. Complete opposite today. Big turnover there late in the game by Romeo Okwara, forcing the fumble, go down and score with Adrian Peterson, put the game away. Was just, I know it was very satisfying for these guys, especially the way the last couple years have gone against the Chicago Bears. It always seemed like it was a get-right game for Mitch Trubisky and the Bears. Lions were able to flip the script today, and you just have to be proud of the guys. You have to be happy for the effort that they gave today, especially with the new voice at head coach Darrell Bevell. I know it was those guys are probably having a really good time in the locker room right now, so it was good to see them get over the hump and finally beat the Bears.
Yeah, you got to be thrilled for Darrell Bevell. Obviously, this is a career moment for him. Huge opportunity for him to take over this team as the interim head coach, and then he gets his first win today. You could see the guys being so hyped up for him on the sidelines when that call was made that 4th and 1 was short. The Lions got the win 34-30 today in Chicago. Let's take a look at the comparison between the two teams, the Lions and the Bears. The Bears were able to run the ball today. The Lions, not quite as much, but it did not matter for them. Look at the receiving yards. 400 yards receiving for the Detroit Lions today. 5 touchdowns. They didn't even win the time of possession battle, but look at the final score there on the bottom. The Lions scored 34, the Bears scored 30. TJ, I want to dive into how this team looked different under Darrell Bevell today. Something that sticks out to me is the fact that they didn't establish the run as they always wanted to do under Matt Patricia, but they were still able to win this game. What was different under Darrell Bevell today?
Well, it looked like, honestly, the guys were playing a lot looser. And by that, I looked at Matthew Stafford, the way that he was letting the ball fly. I mean, how many shots did we see him take downfield? I mean, in the first half, they're huge 48-yard touchdown to Quintez Cephas for his first score. We saw that kind of a lot through the game. I know Darrell Bevell obviously is a guy that likes to run the ball and a lot of play-action passes, but today we didn't see them really hesitate much. And even when you got to a couple key 4th downs, they were being aggressive. They were going for it. I know they got stuffed there early in the game, which was a good play by Chicago's defense. But I like the aggressiveness that they're playing with. It almost seems like they have that attitude that we have nothing to lose, right? We're going to go get everything. We're going to try to chuck the ball downfield, get the explosive plays, which is something that they've really been lacking so far this year. And like you said, they didn't run the ball great, but they stuck with it enough to make Chicago still kind of load the box on defense, and that opened up a lot of the plays in the back end, specifically for the Quintez Cephas touchdown and a lot of big plays to Marvin Jones as well.
Yeah, 402 total yards for Matthew Stafford today. 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, but a 109.4 quarterback rating. TJ, I really liked that the Lions took a lot more deep shots today. Now, not all of them connected. There were actually several that did not work for the Lions, but they were taking the deep shots regardless, and I really enjoyed seeing that under Darrell Bevell. It was something that he said this week. He wanted to see them have more of those explosive, game-changing plays. And even though they didn't all work out, they did have more of them today. You just look at that 49-yard touchdown to Cephas. Obviously, a few others in there as well, but I did really enjoy that aspect of Darrell Bevell's game plan.
Yeah, I did as well. And like you said, not all of them hit, but they don't have to hit. As long as you throw the ball downfield, now those safeties are going to start playing a little bit deeper. The corners are going to be playing off the ball a little bit more, and that's going to open up a lot of stuff underneath. We saw T.J. Hawkinson again with a nice game, 7 catches, 84 yards. We saw Danny Mendola make a lot of nice plays, especially late in the game. I think that was a product of them taking shots downfield, because where the safety usually plays 12 to 14 yards, maybe now he's playing 17 to 20 yards. That opens up a lot of those intermediate routes underneath, right behind the linebackers, underneath the safeties. And that's kind of where they made a lot of the big plays, especially late in the game, was kind of finding that soft spot in the zone. And, hey, we're not going to get 40 yards every play, but you know what? We'll take the 12 to 15. You're going to give them to us. And like you said, I mean, that was just – they didn't have to hit everyone. They hit a couple of them, which were really big. But it kind of changed the way that Chicago played defense the rest of the game.
Yeah, great point by you about those intermediate routes there. Danny Mendola was back in the lineup today. Certainly benefited them to have him back. Lines were thin at wide receiver, obviously missing Kenny Gallaudet. They were missing another weapon on offense in DeAndre Swift. So this offense needed guys to step up, and they got that today. You look at some of the other guys that stepped up today. Marvin Jones Jr. is one of them. 8 catches for 116 yards. That gives him an average of 14.5 yards a catch. A really, really nice day from Marvin Jones Jr. TJ Hawkinson's another one who had a nice day today. 7 catches for 84 yards from TJ Hawkinson. A really essential day to have both of those guys, those weapons on offense, step up in the absence of Gallaudet and DeAndre Swift, TJ.
Yeah, big time. And I think one guy you could even mention, too, is Mohamed Sanu, right? Kind of new to this offense. We saw him come out a little bit the past couple games, but today, I mean, he didn't have huge numbers, but he got targeted twice, and he brought both of them in for 36 yards, and I think they were both for first downs, which is absolutely huge. You need the more weapons you have, obviously, the more dangerous you're going to be, the more points you can score. But one guy you want to highlight, obviously, is Marvin Jones. Kenny Galladay's been out for extended period of time now. Marvin's kind of taken over that role as the number 1 receiver, which means he's getting matched up against the best corners that the other teams have to offer, and he has been really just producing week in, week out. I mean, you look at his stats today, I know we showed him, but the 12 targets that he had led the team, the 8 catches, 116 yards, a touch. I mean, that obviously the touchdown he had was huge, but he always seems to be that guy that we kind of see. Kenny Gallaudet was a type of guy where he's able to turn those 50-50 balls into 75-25, a lot of times even 80-20 to his favor. And you start to see it, obviously, when Stafford throws him the ball 12 times, it tells you that he trusts him to go make big plays when they need him. They usually call his number. Today, he was a big reason why they won the game today. He had just another outstanding performance.
Absolutely. And another guy who, was really important for the Lions today was Quintez Cephas. Although he did just have 2 catches today, they were big catches, including that 49-yard touchdown from him, which helped him out with his average a bit. 31.5 yards average for the rookie today. He's a guy who they were trying to work in there a little bit more, get him more experience, and he certainly got that today. How will that help the Lions going forward, getting Quintez Cephas a little bit more involved?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, obviously, late-round draft pick. I love the kid coming out of Wisconsin. He was not really the fastest type guy, but physical guy. He plays bigger than what he is. That touchdown that he had today was incredible. I mean, I think you saw Matthew Stafford kind of give him one of these, just say go, and he chucked it up, and he made a nice kind of a veteran move where he didn't do enough to get an offensive pass interference, but he did enough with the arm, the bent arm pressure to gain a little bit of separation. And that ball didn't miss the corner by more than maybe 3 inches, and Quintez brought it down for the huge play. It's a big boost probably for his confidence. I know that we saw him play a lot earlier in the year, week 1, week 2, week 3. He always seemed to be on the field, maybe hit a little bit of a sputter there middle of the season. But for him to come out and perform – his number's not going to get called a bunch, which doesn't mean that he's not a good player. It means that, listen, he's playing behind Kenny Gallaudet, he's playing behind Marvin Jones, he's playing behind Danny Mendola. TJ Hawkinson gets a ton of catches, ton of targets. So it's one of those instances where a young guy, you have to keep your head down, you got to work hard, you got to grind, and when your number gets called, go out there, make a play, and produce. And it was just really good to see him do that today. He got the ball. They threw it to him 4 times. He brought down 2 of them, obviously the huge touchdown. And I think that later we get in the season right now, the coaches obviously they want to see what kind of young guys they have on the team who can step up and make plays. I think Quintez did a really nice job for himself today.
Well, it was really good to see how happy the Lions were for their interim head coach after this win today. Lots of shots coming in from Chicago of the guys jumping and congratulating Darrell Bevell, giving him big hugs, dapping him up. I know they are happy to see that guy win because he is very beloved by all of his players. And something that stuck out to me from the Lions today was how much fight they were able to have in that fourth quarter. That team did not give up or get down on themselves after being behind in this game. They were able to make a comeback, and instead of lapsing in the fourth quarter. This game was won on two huge defensive plays there at the end of the game with the strip sack and then with the 4th-and-1 stop. TJ, what did you make of that series of events?
Oh, it was really the first time we saw them all year be able to come back from that big of a deficit. I think as I was watching the game at home before I drove down here, they showed when the Lions were leading or trailing by more than 9 points. I don't remember the exact stat, but it was not good. And the fact that they were able to come back in the fourth quarter, the third quarter really did a nice job. I think they held Chicago to maybe 38 or 40 yards of offense in the third quarter. Obviously, the fourth quarter to come back and just keep fighting and try to finish and get in the big strip sack and get in the touchdown. And then at the end, Chicago was driving the ball too. They had the ball back inside the 25-yard line. You come up with a huge 4th-and-1 stop. That's something that we just haven't seen from this team all year. So a lot of that goes to the pride that the players have, but a lot of it, like you mentioned too, is they want to win for Coach Bevel, right? And I know Coach Bevel talked about he's excited to have this opportunity. Obviously, the circumstances aren't what anybody wants. You don't want to become a head coach because somebody else got fired. But still, this is a huge audition for him, the rest of the coaches, the players, if you're going to be a free agent. And the way that they were able to finish the game and then celebrate when you saw before the referees even made the call on the 4th-and-1, you saw the sideline just kind of erupt, and you saw so many guys coming up to Coach Bevel and hugging him and giving him high fives, and you could just tell the excitement and how happy they were to do it for him. And that really makes a huge difference when you're playing football. Obviously, if you have a coach like Darrell Bevel that everybody loves, it's going to give you that extra little bit of motivation that, hey, I'm not just out here because I want to win for this guy too. I want us all to succeed. And obviously nobody knows what's going to happen in the offseason, but you've got now 4 games left this year. I hope to see a lot of the same things where the players are obviously taking pride in their performance as well as wanting to do it for Coach Bevel and the rest of the staff.
Absolutely. Well, we want to hear what Bev had to say about this win. He spoke to reporters at the virtual podium just a few moments ago. So let's take you to that press conference.
Yeah. So just, amazing game today. These players, they just did such a great job. They never measured the game. They continue to play, for 60 minutes. The effort with which they played with, the enthusiasm, playing for one another, believing in themselves was just amazing. You got to give those guys credit. At the end of the game, I think that was really telling of where these guys are at. To get a major turnover there in the red area for us to be able to run that ball in. Then we kick the ball off and tackle them inside the 20, and then to finish on a 4th-and-1. Got to have a situation to get a 4th down stop. I think that says all you need. All you need to really ask about today's game and how these players played and reacted. So I'm excited for them. It was a crazy, amazing week, and I just couldn't be happier with how they did today.
Justin, go ahead.
Hey, Darrell, can you just run us through your emotions here, especially in the fourth quarter? You're down 10. Maybe things aren't going the way you envisioned that first game. Then to have the comeback that you guys did, just what that meant to you and what that felt like from your perspective.
Yeah, my emotions right now, Justin, I can't even think straight. I'm just trying to wrap my head around this whole thing and what just happened. It was just, like I said, it was a great job by these guys of believing, from the moment we started till the end. My mentality was that, like, if I'm gonna lead these guys, I got to have that same belief. I believe in these guys. I believe in what we're trying to do, and it goes to them. Those guys believed in themselves as well. And I think it showed with how they reacted in those situations and how they played today.
You did talk this week about playing fun, loose, hair on fire. Do you think that message was reflected in the ability to come back and make those plays in such a critical short stretch?
Well, Justin, I wish you could be in this locker room right now. I think that would answer your question. It's a buzzing in there, and yes, definitely. I think those guys really, truly believed in themselves all the way. Again, I know I'm going to keep saying the same thing, but they didn't measure the game. The whole game. It didn't matter what the scoreboard was. That's what I asked them to do. Just keep playing, and that good things would happen at the end, and it did, and they made it happen.
Thank you, Darrell. Congratulations.
Thank you,
Tim.
Hey, Darrell, congratulations. Can you just speak to can you just speak to the performance of your quarterback today? 402 yards, led that 96-yard drive in the fourth quarter, and just what he's meant to this victory.
Yeah, I mean, that was, really vintage Matthew Stafford right there. We kind of, let him play today, and he just responded in a big way. You got to give credit to all the guys around him. I mean, huge plays. Danny Amendola laying out there on that one drive and catching a big ball there. The offensive line responded against a really good front. Matt Nelson had to step in there and play right tackle. A converted defensive line comes out and plays tackle in the National Football League, blocking Khalil Mack. I mean, just a great day by those guys, and Matt led the way.
And then just a real quick follow-up. You said this week you wanted to have, big plays back in this offense. It looks like that was really the case this week. You guys took a number of shots down the field, hit on quite a few of them. Was that really a priority this week for you setting up the game plan? Was to take those shots and then follow through on them?
Yeah, Tim, I mean, they're always in there. I think we just probably had a little bit more focus on them this week. And, Matthew responded in a good way. The guys were ready with the game plan. And, it was fun just how everything showed up today. To go back, I'll go back and look at it and answer your question. I don't even know what happened in terms of the explosive plays and that kind of thing. But I like how we were playing out there.
Mike Rothstein.
Hey, Darryl, congratulations. I know you said you're kind of all over the place mentally right now, but what is it now that game's over? What has week actually been like for you? Like, walk me through that a little bit.
Amazing. Amazing week. It was hard. Everything that I did, like I told you guys earlier, was a new experience, including today. With the headset, that I had on with different lines, talking to different people. But I just got to give credit to all the people around me. I mean, I have such good support here that really everybody just kind of chipped in and did their job in an excellent way, just to help me to be able to focus on what I needed to focus on. So I'm thankful for all those people, and then the players. I mean, they responded today, and hopefully you could see it. Hopefully it showed in the way that they played, and it just showed up in their demeanor as they were on the field flying around.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Darryl.
Thanks, Mike.
Justin Rose.
Hey, Coach, kind of off those same notes there. What was the one thing, I guess, that you could look back this week that was different maybe from the previous weeks of the season when Matt was here that you saw stick out the most?
Like I told the players from day one, we had a windshield and no rearview mirror, so we're not looking back at anything that happened in the past. We're working from the day that I was able to step in front of them to now, and I'm just excited how they responded. I'm excited how they played. I'm excited for them to be able to get a win. I think it's sometimes understated how hard it is to win in this league, and for them to respond the way they did at the end was just amazing.
Thanks. Congrats.
Thank you.
Kyle.
And Darryl, most of my questions have already been asked, so I guess I'll just ask, as you think about this week and everything you've been through, and then obviously pulling out the win here today, what was it like in the post-game locker room for you? Talking to the guys, what was your message? What was that scene like for you?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I'm still on cloud nine right now. I'm not quite over it. These guys responded in there. It's just amazing, and there was excitement, there's hugs, there's, all that stuff going on in there. And, I couldn't be more happy for them and how they played and for them to get that win.
Thank you.
Dave?
Yeah, I think a lot of what I wanted to ask has been asked too, but did you get a game ball? Did the players give you a game ball after the game? Is that something that happened?
I did. Matthew Stafford, presented a game ball in there. It was, I can't even describe it. Just amazing.
Can you just, last thing for me, can you just describe Romeo's play a little bit coming off the edge there? He's been really good for you all season, but to get his paw out and to get his hand on that ball, what'd you see on that play? What was your reaction when you saw it happen?
Huge play, Dave. Yeah, sorry to cut you off. Huge play for us. We preached it during the week, and to get that big play right there in that moment. It changed the whole momentum of the game. And just a cool play. I didn't see exactly everything that happened, but I know that he's the guy that got the ball out, and just so happy for him, the defense, and the way they responded in the second half.
Thank you, Darryl.
All right, time for three more quick ones. Jen, you got one?
I was just going to ask about the game ball. So you did get a game ball. Matthew presented it to you, Coach?
Yes, he did.
Okay, great. Thanks. That's all I needed.
Thank you.
Jeff?
Yeah, I was just curious at halftime, were you able to address both the offense and defense, and what was your message?
Yeah, I addressed the the whole team. When we called them up before we went out, and I just told them to continue to keep playing. Don't measure the game. Play just until there's no time left on the clock, and continue to play with the joy and enthusiasm that we wanted to play with, and we'll see what happens at the end. And I think they really did exactly that, and good things happened.
Thank you.
Last one for Woj.
Hey, Daryl, you've talked about the words, play with your hair on fire, play, lose, energy, and everything. Beyond the words, what did you actually do action-wise to foster that? Like, I don't know, meetings shorter? Was it livelier? Did you play games, music? Like, what viscerally was different?
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely changes. I don't want to get into all the things that we did different, but yes, there was different meetings, there was different practice schedule, there was different ways that that I wanted them to handle situations. We talked about it, and I was proud of him. I think it showed up today.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Coach.
Thank you. All right, thanks.
I love hearing from Bev after this huge moment in his career, his first win as a head coach in the NFL. I know he is amped up. Let's bring back in TJ Lang down at the Henry Ford Health System update desk. TJ, you and I were listening to that press conference. How much fun was it to hear him talk about what that locker room was like after this game, even getting that game ball from Matthew Stafford?
Well, you heard him. He said it was a buzzing. I guess that's always a good feeling when your locker room's buzzing after a big game. Yeah, you got to be happy for him. I mean, he's been coaching for a long time. He's been around the game of football his whole life, as you know, Tori. To go out there, your first chance to be a head coach and come away with a win right off the bat, I mean, that just kind of solidifies, I guess, everything and kind of validates the questions that you might have or other people have about you. Maybe, is he a good coach? Can he get it done? What other way to kind of give yourself that boost of confidence than to go out there, win your first game against the Bears, who Lions haven't beaten in the last couple of years. So it was good, man. He looked like a little kid on Christmas. He just looked so happy. I'm sure he was doing his best to kind of control his emotions. But yeah, and even hear about the guys giving him the game ball afterwards. I mean, that's definitely going to be a moment that Coach Bevel will cherish and remember for the rest of his life.
Yeah, Christmas came early for Darrell Bevell today. Definitely a great day for him. He said he was on cloud nine, and there is definitely something to be said about getting a game ball from Matthew Stafford after a win like that one. We've got a lot more to talk about from this game, but before we get to that, let's take a look around the league and see where scores stand after being halfway through our Sunday of NFL football. Couple of really exciting games out there today. I mean, take a look at how close that game was between the Jaguars and the Vikings. Another game in the division there. The Vikings just barely got away with that one against Jacksonville. And then you take a look at what happened between the Jets and Raiders. TJ, I think the Jets, they really gave up a score there with 5 seconds pick there.
Kind of looked like the Trevor Lawrence play, right? I mean, 10 seconds left in the game. You're up by 4 points. Oakland throws a 50-yard bomb, and it just, the corner got toasted by like 6 yards. There was no safety help. There was nothing. It honestly looked like the Jets were trying to keep Oakland out of field goal range, which wouldn't have mattered because they were down by 4 points. So that was confusing. Obviously, the Jets, Las Vegas, sorry. But the Jets, obviously, they're still a winless team, so I think we all know what they're playing for. Jacksonville, a one-win team coming into today, gives Minnesota just about all they could handle. They were winning for most of that game and end up losing by a field goal. The Vikings, I got to tell you, though, I mean, they're kind of – I know the Lions have them coming up here soon, and they're kind of a sneaky team. I mean, they've kind of played their way from – I don't remember the exact record. It seemed like they were 1-4, 1-5, and they've kind of built their way back up to 500. So they could be a sneaky team to watch going to the last 4 weeks of the season as well.
How about that Browns-Titans game? The Browns were up 38-7 at one point. Titans made a little bit of a comeback, but it just wasn't quite enough. The Browns looked real good today. How about Baker Mayfield playing in that game against the Titans? And then take a look down right below that one. You got the Eagles up 3-0 on Green Bay right now.
Well, the Philly Green Bay will be definitely an interesting game. A lot of us are probably watching, being an NFC North game. Philly, obviously, they haven't really had a great season, but it's a good thing that they're in the NFC East because 5 wins, 6 wins might get you a home playoff game. But yeah, that Cleveland game was just. I know the score kind of looked better than what it was. That was an absolute just butt kicking from Cleveland. They were up 38-7 at halftime. I think Baker Mayfield had 4 touchdowns in the first half. They kind of probably went on cruise control a little bit in the second half, allowed Tennessee to get some garbage points. But that was a really impressive win because I know the thing that a lot of people have been talking about with Cleveland and Baker Mayfield is, they're 8-3. They haven't played anybody. You go out and play Tennessee, the team that's pretty good. They were leading in the AFC South going into today. Not anymore since the Colts won, but they put a whipping on them like Tennessee hasn't seen in a long time. So Cleveland's another one of those scary teams where, you see Baker Mayfield get hot and you get that 1-2 punch at running back that they have with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. They can make a lot of noise in the AFC as well. So that'll be an interesting development we see the last 4 weeks of the year.
Yeah, 4 touchdowns for Baker Mayfield against a Titans team that the Lions will face in 2 weeks. So we'll see how that one goes. Let's also take a look at the weekly leaders around the league, starting with the passing leaders this week. And look at that. Who's on top? That's Matthew Stafford with his 402 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception today in this game against the Chicago Bears. There's Baker Mayfield's stats as well, 334 for 4 touchdowns. Another good performance from Deshaun Watson as far as yards go, but they did lose to Indianapolis today. Who else sticks out to you on this list, TJ?
I think Derek Carr's really a guy he took a lot of pressure, a lot of heat the last few years with Las Vegas. A lot of questions about, is he the guy? Is he not the guy? Do we have to bring in some competition? What's going on with his future? Is he going to be the quarterback that we can count on to be our guy for the next 10 years? And he's really had a really nice year. I know they won a lot of games early, kind of hit a little soft spot there, but to come out today, obviously get that walk-off win against the Jets, which, obviously anytime you get a win, you're happy about that. But he's a guy that I kind of look at that you can't help but to feel good and happy for, because he always seems to do things the right way. He always seems to he just comes off as being one of those hard-working type guys, a leader type guy that everybody in the locker room respects and appreciates. And to watch him go out today, obviously have that 50-yard touchdown to end the game to win against the Jets was huge. And the rest of the game was obviously 381 yards, 2 more touchdowns on top of that last one. You got to feel happy for him.
All right, let's take a look at who these guys are throwing the ball to. We'll look at the weekly leaders as far as receiving goes as these stats transition here. Look at number 7, Marvin Jones Jr., 116 yards today. Those were on 8 receptions with 1 touchdown. Darren Waller from the Las Vegas Raiders at the top of that list with 200 yards. What a day for him. 200 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Darren Waller is really an interesting story. I know a lot of us saw the story a year or 2 ago. Was out of the NFL, had obviously some issues with, I believe it was substance abuse, and is able to kind of right the ship and come back and just kind of plant himself, really, in my mind, as a probably top 3 or top 5 tight end in this league. 13 catches as a tight end is just absolutely ridiculous.
Incredible.
Because as well as I do, the middle of the field when you're playing defenses is usually pretty packed, and for him to go out there and put up those kind of numbers and a couple touchdowns is really impressive. I got to say, the other thing I'm happy about is Justin Jefferson's on the fantasy squad. Good to see him with another 9 catches, 120 yards and a touchdown. But yeah, obviously kind of the normal list of guys you would expect to be at the top. Michael Thomas, Adam Thielen, and Marvin Jones. We talked about him earlier in the show as well. You couldn't be happier for a guy, especially for him too. I mean, you talk about the audition that the coaches are going through. There's a lot of auditioning going through the players as well, because we know, just like Kenny Gallaudet, Marvin's a guy who's going to be a free agent here in a couple months as well. So the more that he can produce, the better future he's going to give himself as well.
Yeah, I'm with you as far as these guys performing well for you in fantasy. I had T.Y. Hilton myself, and I'm facing Tim Twentyman this week, so I needed a good day, and I got it from T.Y. Hilton. So pat on the back to me for that one.
Yes.
Sorry about it,
Do not give
Tim.
Tim any more bragging rights or
You're
anything.
right. Sorry about it, Tim. I'm sure he'll hear about this later on. All right, TJ, let's talk a little bit about this defense and what they were able to do today in Chicago. Really struggled for much of this game, but they played well when it counted there at the very end of this game with a huge play from Romeo Okwara, who's really been strong all season long.
Yeah, I guess we'll start with Romeo. I mean, he's been really the one guy that has consistently brought the pressure when you talk about pass rush. He's been a guy that his stats have really kind of just flown off the chart this year so far. I know he had 5 or 6 sacks coming into today. Another obviously huge sack with the forced fumble. You get the 2-for-1 there late in the game to go win. But he's really a guy that I played with him for a year. I played against him a couple times when he was in New York. You always understood that, okay, this man, once this guy figures it out, he's going to be a hell of a player. And this year, it's good to see that he figured it out, whatever that was, because he is getting to the passer like nobody else on this defense has been, at least consistently has been. The first half was a little tough for this defense. Obviously, a lot of the things that we saw go wrong throughout the whole season kind of showed up in that first half with, missed coverages, missed tackles, not getting to the quarterback. Chicago was kind of looked like they were running the ball at will, in the first half. In the second half, I don't know if they made a ton of adjustments coaching-wise, schematically, but it just looked like guys were just competing harder, right? Finishing the plays, bringing the ball carrier down, getting to the quarterback, hitting the quarterback, sticking tight to the one-on-one coverage, man-on-man coverage, whatever it might have been. It just looked like the players kind of stepped it up a level. I didn't see a whole lot of schematic changes. We saw blitz a little bit more often, which was nice to see, because especially with a guy like Mitch Trubisky, you know that if you blitz him, he's really kind of shown that he has poor ball security, whether he's going to fumble or whether he's going to try to throw the ball up, give you a chance to take it away. I thought the second half was much cleaner. Obviously, you let up 23 points in the first half, you hold them to 7 in the second half, and you get the huge turnover, which was the difference in the game late in the fourth quarter. It was just good to see the defense kind of not get down on themselves early, because it would have been really easy for them at halftime to go in and start pointing fingers and you got to do better. They came together as a whole group and they were able to get the job done. And like we said, Mitch Trubisky obviously isn't one of the premier quarterbacks in this league, but he has lit up Detroit the last 4 times they've played. And to go out there and finish the game the way they did today, obviously a huge confidence boost for that locker room.
Lots of good adjustments from the Lions in the second half of this game. Hey, TJ, I've got a feeling we're going to have a good second half of this post-game show as well, and we will get to that in just a minute after this quick break.
Priorities shift from rush hours to slow breakfasts, from busy schedules to scheduled downtime. And as life happens, shifts and surprises are sure to follow. At Priority Health, we'll always be ready to shift with you, from complicated policies to ones written by humans, from a plan for 1 to a plan for 3. Because your priorities have shifted, maybe it's time your health insurance did too.
Show off your Lions pride with the official Detroit Lions debit card, offered only by UMCU. Choose how you will represent your team with 3 signature Lions designs. UMCU enhances your banking experience with access to a convenient mobile app, nationwide network of ATMs, and 24/7 online banking. Plus, cardholders get special member-only offers from the Lions. Join UMCU to get your exclusive Detroit Lions debit card today. Visit umcu.org.
Love getting prices that are lower than low on food that's fresher than fresh? With With the Kroger app, you can get personalized coupons on top of weekly sales and rewards like fuel points, all for prices that are lower than the everyday low. So go ahead, get lower than low. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Welcome back into the Detroit Lions postgame show presented by Priority Health. I'm Tori Petrie. Matthew Stafford had quite the day today with a 402-yard day. He spoke with the media via virtual podium just a few moments ago. Let's hear what Stafford had to say about this win in Chicago.
Hey, Matthew, congratulations on the win. Can you just take me into the locker room after the game and then that moment? How nice of a moment was that for you to give Bevel the game ball?
Oh, it was great. Guys were having a blast. Obviously, it was a crazy one down to the wire. Defense made some huge plays late in the game. We were able to put enough points on the board to obviously come away with the win. Happy for Bev, man. Happy for our team. Just excited to get a win and thought it was fitting. He needs to get that game ball. You know, it's his first game as a head coach, and to get a win is huge.
And then just real quickly, Bev said this week he wanted the big plays back in the offense, and it seems like you guys were able to do that in the passing game. You had 5 different guys catch a pass of 20-plus yards today. What did you see from them that allowed you guys to kind of hit some of those big plays that maybe you hadn't had, in previous games as much?
I mean, they're a really good defense. It's a great front and a really good back end. So I got to give a ton of credit to our offensive line. They did an outstanding job of giving me time in the pocket. Obviously Matt Nelson had to come in and block Khalil Mack all day. Guy was playing defensive line 2 years ago. So pretty impressive what he was able to do today. And really all those guys up front did a great job. So without time, I can't get the ball down the field. And then our guys on the back end were getting open and making big plays. Wasn't anything schematic from them. They're a defense that's really, really stingy and tough. Just proud of our guys for making plays.
Kyle?
Hey, Matthew. I just lost my connection, so I have no idea what you were just asked. Hopefully you weren't asked this, but can you take us inside the huddle on that 96-yard drive there? What it was like going down the field and obviously hitting Marv there at the end?
Yeah, I mean, I know we needed to score, and the quicker the better. So I was just some 2-minute ball, was able to dial up some good plays, and our guys made some big ones. Danny made some huge plays on that drive, some huge catches for us. And then obviously the big one to Marv there at the end was great to score right before the 2-minute. It kind of gives us an extra timeout, trying to stop them. So all of that went into it and was just trying to be a little bit aggressive there. And Marv ran a great route, got behind him, kind of lulled him to sleep and, was able to step up and throw it to him for a big one. So it was a huge drive. And then obviously our defense went out and made the play of the game. There were a couple of them in there on defense, and they made some big ones. So I'm just happy for those guys. When we needed them, they were clutch and made some huge plays, and it was awesome.
You're so close to Darryl. I mean, you're as close as any player to Darryl. You've been such a fan of him and his work with you in the offense since he got here last year. I guess just speaking generally, how good do you feel for the guy for the way this turned out? His first game, being able to hand him a game ball, after a win like this.
Yeah, I'm obviously really happy for him. Happy for our team. He cares about our guys. He's only been on the offensive side of the ball, for the majority of his time here. Obviously, only 1 week here with everybody. But, I think, his energy is infectious and guys feed off of it. And, I really appreciate him as a person. And just happy that he, helped us get the win today. Guys went out there, played fast and free, and it wasn't perfect. There's plays we want back, but never quit, never really looked at the scoreboard, just keep playing and let it kind of all figure itself out, and it did.
Thank you.
Mike Rothstein.
Hey, Matthew, how do you feel the changes that Darryl made throughout the week helped y'all today?
I don't know. I think we still got to go out and play good on Sunday. And that's the biggest thing that boils down to it. I think guys, enjoy being in the building this week. Had a great time. Still worked hard and got our work done. But it was just obviously a different message from a different guy. And not saying anything against Coach Patricia. It was just different. And sometimes. That sparks the guys, but I was just happy that we came out here today and got the win.
How was it different to you? Because you've been around longer than, really anybody except for Muehlbach. Like how was this different for you this week than weeks prior?
Well, each person is different, and he's just a different person personality-wise. He's a different person, schematically, all that kind of stuff. He's just a different person, and he was just genuine to himself. He's learning on the job as well, and was just honest with us and told us to go out there and play with a bunch of energy, a bunch of passion, a bunch of fun, and we did that.
And I really don't know any other way to ask this. Do you feel like with Patricia at the helm, you guys could have pulled this off today?
Yeah, I mean, anytime with the ball snapped, I feel like we got a chance to win the game. That's the way I feel about it. I feel like every time I step on the field, I got a great chance to help our team win. So, obviously, head coaches put their touch on the team and their personality on the team. But we still got to go out there and make plays, and we were able to do that today.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Matthew.
All right, time for 2 more. Justin.
I don't know if you'll have to send Russell Wilson a check after this question, but did Bevel let you cook today?
Yeah, is that trademarked yet? No, I mean, I don't think he's not been letting me cook. I think we just did a good job of making plays. And the more success we have early on throwing the ball, I think the more comfortable everybody gets in calling it. That's a really good pass rush that we just played against, and a really good back end, and they kept me clean all day, which was awesome. And when I'm clean, those guys are getting open. It was just a nice rhythm today that we were able to get into and stay in.
We're focusing on all the great moments here today. You had the interception. I don't know the last time I saw a 313-pound guy jump a route, and then the 3 and out. Obviously, a very frustrating sequence. How did you stay confident, poised, positive, and going into the opportunity to lead the comeback there after those 2, I guess, disheartening drives?
Yeah, I mean, we were moving it on the drive. The guy picked it. We were kneeling the ball at the end of the game, and I was talking to him. I went and patted down his left arm, was looking for a foreign substance just to see what he had, what kind of pine tar he had on that left arm. But it was a great play, by him. I thought worst case he bats it down. I mean, the pick. Kudos, tip your hat to him and keep moving. The next drive, wanted one of those back. Really wish I would have just stuck the 3rd down ball right on Marv early. Felt the quarter safety was kind of sitting, but hindsight, probably had a chance to just stick it on him, keep the chains moving. But I felt like I was in a good rhythm all day, even after that drive and the pick and the drive where we kind of went 3 and out. I still felt like I was in a good rhythm, so I was excited to go out there and get a chance to be aggressive again and go see what I could do.
Thank you, Matthew.
Yep.
Last one, Woj.
Hey, Matthew, you guys have talked about, Bevel's approach, just a little bit freer, looser, just let it loose, have some fun out there. Do you think playing like this, if you guys can play like this, letting it loose, so to speak, that things are still possible? I know the playoffs are long shot, but they're still possible. Do you feel like playing this way, we could see a different team down the stretch?
Listen, you're going to hate the answer. We got to take it 1 week at a time. There's no question about it. But, that was his first message to our team was, hey, guys, we're whatever we were, 2 games back of Arizona with 5 to play. There's a lot of football left. And Denver just played a game with no quarterback. So who knows what's going to happen? We just got to go out there and continue to play, continue to show up to work with a great attitude, be ready to work, be ready to have some fun while we do it, and go out there and turn it loose on Sundays.
And just one follow-up. It looked like the energy, like a lot of times late in the season, guys are maybe looking ahead or it's an audition for next year. Did you definitely feel that there was still something going on here with this season, whether it's playing for Bevel or playing for whatever, it's still intact?
Yeah, I mean, we're still a team. We play for each other. We put a bunch of work in. Nobody's had an easy year. We're all going through this thing together. We're trying to get it right. And so we're all pulling for each other. But yeah, I mean, everybody was out there juiced up, ready to go play. And obviously the more plays that we make, the more, excitement there's going to be on the sideline. So it was great to make some of those plays and get everybody going.
Thank you.
Appreciate y'all.
Thanks, Matt.
You could hear how happy Matthew Stafford was to have this win and how excited he was to get that win for his interim head coach, Darrell Bevell. I'm Tori Petrie. You're watching the Detroit Lions postgame show presented by Priority Health. Let's bring in TJ Lang down at the Henry Ford Health System update desk. TJ, we haven't gotten to our play of the game yet, but Stafford kind of spoiled it for us. He called it out what the play of the game was in that press conference. it's our play of the game as well. And it is that series of plays where the Lions were able to have a strip sack and then follow it up with an Adrian Peterson touchdown. That was the turning point in this game.
Yeah, it definitely was, especially late in the fourth quarter there. You got into a grind, right? You're able to get back to within 3 points. Big third down. Romeo Okwara just with the long arm on the right tackle reaches out. Just, I know these guys, defensive linemen, if you ever watch them in practice, they practice this about 80% of the time, right? Beating the offensive lineman and then reaching out, trying to get a strip sack, because these guys are selfish. They don't just want a sack, they want a fumble to go with it. But what a good time, what a good time to get it, though. I mean, Romeo, like we talked about, obviously having a heck of a year for himself. And then Adrian Peterson, a couple plays later, really finishes it off. Just great blocking up front. The offensive line, we haven't mentioned them today. Matthew Stafford did, though. All those guys that they have on that side of the ball, Chicago with Khalil Mack, Akeem Hicks, not only good against the run, but those guys are really ferocious getting after the passer as well. The offensive line did a great job. And what a great image there to kind of sum up with just Taylor Decker pushing Adrian in the end zone. You could see how pumped up those guys were to take the lead there.
Well, you point out the offensive line. Of course you do, TJ. But, I mean, it is notable because Tyrell Crosby went down early in this game and Matt Nelson had to step in for him. That's a guy who played defensive line in college and switched over to offensive line once he got into the league. So the fact that he went up against Khalil Mack today is no small feat.
No, and did you even hear his name called? I didn't. I mean, I looked up at one point and I said, oh, what happened to Crosby? But I had missed a bunch of plays, and Nelson came in. He's got some good playing time so far this year with other injuries that have happened, coming in as eligible tight end, extra run blocker. But to come in, especially against a guy like Khalil Mack, Akeem Hicks lines up on that side of the ball as well, so you have to run block against him. You got to pass block against Mack. And these guys just played their hearts out, man. They left it all on the field. That is really one of the best defensive fronts in the whole league. And to go out there, and I think Stafford had 2 sacks, but they were for 2 yards total, so they were kind of right around the line of scrimmage. I think one of them, Matthew, was scrambling, tried to run, got taken down right at the line of scrimmage, so that really doesn't count, at least an offensive lineman's head, as a sack. But those guys played their hearts out. They played their butts off. They kept Matthew Stafford clean most of the game, especially late when it counted. And that image that I like about Adrian Peterson running that ball, and you see the left side of that line starting with Frank Ragnow and Jonah Jackson and Taylor Decker just fighting to push their guys into the end zone, and Taylor Decker, who's having a really great year, pushing Adrian in at the last second to get those 6 points. And then the celebration afterwards, you could tell how much that score and winning that game meant to those players.
Well, the Lions come away with the win in this one. They had 5 games left when Darrell Bevell took over. They are now 1-0 under Darrell Bevell with 4 more games left to play. Obviously, you heard how Matthew Stafford views it. He said 1 game at a time. We're not setting our sights on how this whole season ends. But TJ, you and I can discuss it. What does this win mean for the Lions' final stretch of the season here?
Well, it's a big confidence boost, right? I mean, I think we've talked really enough about the audition that the coaches are going through and the players are going through, but you want to finish this season, right? Because nobody knows you don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, there's going to be a new general manager and a new head coach, and you really want to go show to not only the Lions, but to 31 other teams if you're going to be a free agent or if you're going to be obviously one of the coaches. You want to prove your worth, and you want to go out there, and obviously winning games is how you do it. But the one thing that you heard Coach Bevell just preach this past week, and you heard the players talk about, was we want to play looser. We want to have fun. We want to enjoy what we do. We want to enjoy coming into work. That's great. Having fun in practice, having fun in meetings is great. But the most fun you can possibly have as a player in this league is by winning football games. So that's obviously great for the momentum, right? It's great for your confidence, especially after a Chicago Bears team who's had your number the last few years. But these guys also understand, I think Matthew Stafford, you kind of heard, we got to take it week by week because we all know what the rest of the schedule entails. You got Minnesota, you've got Green Bay, you've got Tennessee, you've got Tampa Bay. Those are 4 really good football teams. So I know they're going to enjoy this win. Obviously, everybody's happy for Coach Bevell and the rest of the coaching staff, but they understand the big picture as well. You got to enjoy it tonight on the plane ride home. You got to enjoy it tomorrow when you're watching the film, and you got to be able to flip that switch because anything can happen in this league. And if you don't build on the success that you started today, what does it really matter? So I'm excited to see how they're going to respond from this, how they're going to handle this little bit of success going into the last 4 games.
Well, let's look ahead to the next game that the Lions have on the schedule. That's against the Green Bay Packers. It will no longer be at 1 p.m. It will actually be a 4:25 kick on Fox. Fox knew what they were doing, flexing this game to the 4:25 slot. The Lions obviously got a little bit more interesting with a win today. The Green Bay Packers playing really well. They're facing off against the Eagles today. We'll see how that one plays out. But TJ, Lions are getting Green Bay here in this next week. What do you feel like they need to do in order to keep this momentum going and win another one?
Well, looking back to the first time they played Green Bay, I think the first thing that sticks out is you got to stop the run, right? Aaron Jones and company just kind of ran wild on them the first time. I know that was a really long time ago. Hopefully this defense has kind of learned from those mistakes as well. But it all comes down to one guy when you're playing Green Bay. You have to find a way to hit, frustrate, confuse, attack number 12, Aaron Rodgers. You have to do it.
Is it possible to confuse him?
Well, we saw a couple years ago, actually, when when Detroit had beaten Green Bay a couple times. Those games, I mean, you'd see Aaron Rodgers going to the sideline just with his arms up. They've got to find a way to recreate that, right? Whether it's mixing up the coverages, doing something, because Aaron Rodgers, playing with him for 8 years, playing against him for a couple years. If you kind of give him the same thing that you show on film, he's going to be prepared for that, and he's absolutely going to light you up. Playing with him for 8 years, playing against him for a couple years, if you kind of give him the same thing that you show on film, he's going to be prepared for that, and he's absolutely going to light you up. I don't care how. I think he just turned 38 or 39 years old this year, the past week. He is still one of the most dynamic players in this league. So it all starts with him. You stop the run, you put it all on Aaron Rodgers, make him make some plays. You got to try to find a way to frustrate him. I guess that's probably the biggest coaching point that I hope they talk about today. And their defense is pretty good as well, right? They've had last week against Chicago, they took the ball away a couple times. They put up 41 points on Chicago, which actually the Lions put up, the 34 points they scored today was the second most on Chicago this year. But Green Bay's a tough matchup. Anytime you get these division games, though, you know each other so well, it really just comes down to that old kind of folklore about just black and blue division. Just go out there and just punch each other in the mouth, try to make a couple more plays than the other team does, and at the end of the game, throw out the records going into this game, throw out whatever happened the last previous 11, 12 games, whatever. It's a new ball game. And if you're the Lions, obviously coming out with a win today against a division rival on the road, now you get one at home next week. Let's try to build on the success.
All right, well, let's take a look. The Packers are actually leading the Eagles right now 7-3, I believe, in the second quarter. So that's a game to keep an eye on as you guys flip the channel and tune into other games around the league today. TJ, as you and I wrap up here on the Postgame Show, I want to get your final thoughts on what Lions fans should take away from this game in Chicago.
Well, I know that's probably going to be a little bit of a mixed crowd, Tori, and I say this completely honest. I mean, I know there were a lot of people that I talked to where at this point of the year they're saying, let's just try to get the best draft pick possible. Let's try to do this. Let's try to get a top 5 pick and make it easier for the next GM who comes in, right? The players, the coaches, they don't care about the draft, okay? They don't. They're playing for their pride. They're playing for the next job, where if it might be here, if it might be somewhere else. There's 32 teams that you're kind of auditioning for. With that being said, though, I think that today kind of showed us the true character of this team, because it really would have been easy just to kind of lay down and, our backs are against the wall and nothing's gone right for us this year. We just lost our GM. We just lost our coach. The easy thing would have been to lay down and just get smacked in the mouth. They didn't do that. And the one thing that I thought was really encouraging was the characteristic of fighting for the whole 60 minutes and not giving up, because this is a team we've seen this year so many times. You get in those close games, those close battles, and they just can't find a way to come out on top. Today, finishing the game that they did, the way that they did, was extremely encouraging for me as a fan, and obviously as a friend to a lot of those guys still in the locker room. So You never say never, Tori. I know technically, mathematically, this season is not over for those guys. They're not looking at the big picture right now, like Stafford said. They're taking it week by week. But you never know what could happen, right? There's still a way that the schedule's tough, but there's still a way that you could find a way to win a couple more games and make things interesting going down the stretch.
Hey, it ain't over until it's over. TJ.
Not over until I sing, Tori.
Fair enough. We'll have you
plan
sing.
on singing soon.
Yeah, week 17, you're giving us a concert. TJ, thanks so much for all your insight here on the Postgame Show. We appreciate
thanks,
you.
Tori.
All right, guys, that does it for us here on the Postgame Show presented by Priority Health. We appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, don't forget, we will be right back here next week for our pregame show before that Lions matchup at home against the Green Bay Packers. Thanks again.